Good morning. No, good afternoon. Today's Sunday, and I want to talk about something that I think is pretty important. You know, there's been a lot of gifts we've been given very freely from our Father in heaven. Sunshine, the rain that grows crops, keeps your grass green. Your body's made up of the water that most of your body is made up of water. The Lord gives all those things freely to you. And I guess he would like a little bit of respect, in kind. That we remember him in prayer and in the deeds that we do. And I've been very happy with a group out there in this last year that has been giving gifts. And they give freely with their heart and deep pockets. And then along came the realization that the person they were given to slapped them. I know. Doesn't make sense, does it? But it didn't make sense to me either. But this little story down there in that little town down there in Florida, out in the swamps of Florida, if you want to call it swampland, but it's something that people had made into their homes and looked at the gifts of God out there because they were able to build out there. And up until recently, they had the privacy they so seeked. And a life that meant something. This little town. For the most part, people were pretty happy. Taxes are fairly low. They don't have a lot of money in their pockets, and for a lot of them, that's the reason they're there, is because it takes a lot of money to live in a big city, but what do you really get? The things that are priceless are free from the Lord. And when you live in a small town like that, you get to understand what those gifts are. You're pretty self-sufficient. Well, in this little town, it was invaded by others. And soon a fight started coming up. And it drew a lot of attention. Neighbor dispute, didn't it? Well, one of them didn't have a whole lot of money, seemed to have a lot of fight. And so some small channels come along and said, hey, we're willing to help you out. We're praying for you. And we want to know, what are the needs? What can we do so that your life is going to be happier? And we all thought, well, that little girl that they have didn't have a very good Christmas before because she wasn't allowed at one where everybody in the county could come freely except for her and a couple other people from that little town. So they had a hardy, jolly Christmas. And man, was that a wondrous thing. And I felt good watching it. Lord, you stepped in at the right time and made this little girl's world open up to something that she'd never seen and probably won't see something like that again. It was a big thing. And it made everybody's heart happy. A lot of smiles. A lot of tears of joy happened. And then the privacy fence. It was what was sorely needed to give that family a place where their little child could play without having to worry about everybody driving by and making noises and honking the horn and taking pictures of them. You see that family was catching a lot of hell on earth, if you want to say that. Whether it's deserved or not, that's only for the Lord to decide, not us. Along the way, somebody made a donation and said, hey, we want to see that you have some better living quarters. And then there was a few bucks come in, not enough to do the whole thing, but to get things moving in the right direction. And people with big hearts that came out there and made this happen. all of a sudden, we're told that's not enough. You need more. Well, you see, needing more doesn't mean you're going to get more. Sometimes you have to do something. You might have to have a little bit of elbow grease. There's something that you need to do to get something going. Now, not too many years ago, and I'm talking, years being 50 plus years ago. I think back about a plight that I had run into. The stock market was failing. Prices went up. My business was failing because nobody could get money out of the bank. The area I lived in was redlined. You couldn't get money to remodel, and you couldn't get money to build new. And I'm sitting on 3 houses. And I owed quite a bit of money on them. Had a lot of materials sitting there, but I didn't have the money to hire the extra help to get in there. I was having to do the work myself at that time. But working on your own house, you don't make money. Not until you sell it. Then you get the profit. And the bank worked with me the best they could. But, the day come where I had to go to work for somebody to get cash rolling into my company. But along the way, I was able to sell the apartment house. Had enough money left over to pay cash for a roof over our head, but the house was in terrible condition. Now, I didn't go out and ask anybody for extra help, but there was a couple people that come in there with labor to help. And I had a little bit of money, so I was able to do some framing I needed to do that home. I had to take some walls out, put new ones in, put a furnace in place, used one. A friend of mine came in that knows how to do the work. He did all the ductwork in my house free of charge. We raised the house up and put new beams underneath it. The other ones, the house was really old. The other ones had rotted out over the years. Back when it was built, they didn't put anything in there to preserve the wood, and consequently, sometimes there's sags here and there. But anyway, we got everything leveled back up, and we got this little house so you could heat it in the wintertime. And reasonably, it was a lot smaller than the house we had lived in. I was able to sell a couple homes. I didn't make the money back on it. I actually owed money to the bank when it was all done. And they consolidated everything into one and said, well, Ray, do your best to pay this back. And I said, I will. And I did. It took me about 6-7 years to pay that whole thing off, but I paid every single penny. I was thankful for it. The good Lord provided something for me. The people that helped me, I thanked them and did everything I could to repay those favors. You see, I learned a lesson. Somebody helped me out with labor. I was going to do something for them if I could. And in some instances, I was able to repay that. I had a friend that come out and dug a hole in the ground and said, Ray, today you're going to have a pool. And I had these old things left over from a corn bin, metal. Put it in the ground down there, and I had this old liner from a pool, a used pool. I put it in the ground, and I had a pump and all that stuff. And that guy stuck around, and that afternoon we started putting water in that pool. It was built down 2/3 in the ground, okay, and 1/3 out. And 2 days later, my kids were out there swimming in it. It was quite a deal. It really didn't cost me anything other than a little sand I put in there. You see, friends came in there and helped me out when I needed it the most. And I was thankful to them. I've never said anything disparaging word about them. We get to use that. My kids still remember it. One of my children didn't want to live anywhere without a pool after that. And another one to this day still has a pool. When they got a chance, they put a pool in because it ended up being kind of like a family gathering place at her house. It's funny how something little like that friends came together to build, became such a legacy for my children later on in life. But they so loved something like that they would have their own. Because I guess the good memories. We had bad times that came in and just about buried us. And yet it was like the phoenix that rose. We came out of the ground. And with very little money, but just a lot of faith in the Lord and in our friends, we stood on our own 2 feet again. And the companies that hired me, that paid me a salary where I was able to repay the loans that I'd had on my own business. I've been lucky in life, and therefore I've tried to repay it. I know the Lord loves myself and my family, and I know He loves you out there. Well, I guess here I am telling you a little story about my life, and then now you can wonder why there was somebody out there I thought needed some help, somebody that could come in and do something. And I looked at it, and here in this little town there down in Florida, there was a need. But the need wasn't received very well. Don't know why. People gave money to get things. Gifts, if you will. And through that, they were able to have a beautiful Christmas. A privacy fence was built. Gifts in the form of finances towards a better living of the place. Lumber was delivered. Some plumbing supplies. All of a sudden, things came up. A little thing like permit. Everybody needs a permit if you're going to build. Everybody knows that. And if you let it run out, the building has to be stopped. You can't build no more. Legally, you can't move into it either because you don't have an occupancy permit until you're done. If you don't ask for that, you can't go in there and live. Well, this person got all that stuff, right? So the one that did the coordination on it was attacked because this other person said that wasn't enough. I want something else. I'm not worried about that anymore. I want a temporary quarters. I want something I can live in right now. The opportunity was there before. Let it go. And the person became hateful. Started calling names. And now the things that were done to the person that needed the help in the first place, the name calling, the things that were cut off, where financing could have been possible and stuff. She decides to use those tools against that very person that stepped up to help her. Now, if you want to know what I'm talking about, that's easy. Michelle was given the world on a platter by a lot of people. Although the platter started out very small. And it can always be refilled as time goes on. But this person wanted the big platter. Or at least her eyes were on a big platter. So everything that would fit in the little one looks like minuscule. It's not enough. That won't finish it. Well, what does that person do? Was that person doing anything? You see, when I had to put that little house together back when I was around 30-something, I was in my late 30s by then, I guess. Goodness sake. My wife, she helped me tear part of the house apart and put the studs back in. Her and I did all the work on that house except for a little bit over here where friends came in and said, I'm going to help you on this. Someone came in and did a lot of the furnace work for me, got that thing going. Wow. My wife actually got in there and was doing some work. You see, we myself, my wife, my family, and friends were able to do something. And I thought that same ingenuity would work for, let's name it, Michelle. And a lot of people gathered to do that. People from the town, people from out of town. They put all the decorations up for Christmas. What a beautiful thing that was. They put that fence up. People from town, friends of the people that had the gall to stand up and try to help her. I'm going to talk about that person in a minute because I want to leave it to the end. That person, this person that did so much. You see, Michelle decided to attack that person because she didn't do enough. You see, the little things that she did, like using her channel to try to get people to come in, and they were gracious enough that they were gifting through cards the things it was going to take for Christmas and that fence and something towards the home. Wow, what a gift. I'm sure the Lord had his hand in there on that. But Michelle didn't appreciate it. And she said she was better off before anybody ever did that. I had a hard time understanding that. You see, I can remember a time where I needed something and my friends came in and helped. And I didn't talk bad about them. I was so happy for them and anything that they could do. I mean, it was a pure gift. It didn't cost me a nickel when they come in. I didn't pay for their labor. One of my friends, he used some of his nails and screws and stuff like that when he came in there to help. We had to put some stuff back together real quick. I got sick through part of what we were doing to that home. And, I had the kitchen door completely apart, one of the bedrooms and part of the living room. There wasn't much we weren't trying to get done on that house, making it livable. And we had to move into it before it was completely done. And I want to tell you, it was miserable. But we got through it, and we were happy for it. It was nothing like what we had before. Nothing. I had to go to work for somebody else to get some cash flowing. Money was tight. The stock market had bottomed out. This goes clear back to 1982. Wow. What a time to go through. Yeah, it was tough. It was really tough. We got through it, and I thought, boy, Michelle's going to love this, because I remember how thankful I was to get this little home that would be mine, free and clear, and not have to worry about a debt. I was able to sell those other homes. I did have a consolidated debt with the bank that they were working with me on. It was like a miracle happening for me. But I had to work with my two hands. My wife worked with her two hands. My kids got involved. My friends were involved. And I was happy. It was a coordinated effort that came through. Well, I thought the same thing was happening there in this little town down there in Florida, but it wasn't. Because the person that received all this decided to attack the very woman that helped coordinate the effort to get something going by saying, that's not enough. Going to have more money. I need money for this, and I want money for that. And the attack began. And the attack is going on to this second, to this day, to this minute. This person is so ungrateful for the things that were done that she's biting the hand that fed her. Literally. If I had to come on here and express what I felt, my opinion about this whole scenario, especially since I was a part of it. And those that touched this thing, they got involved, are involved in a lawsuit, quite frankly. And the thanks we got, we were told, it wasn't enough. And Michelle claims that she was better off before we gave or did anything towards helping her out. She's worse off today. That's the thanks that we got. Well, that's all I got to say about it. I just want to give you my opinion. It's only mine. I don't know how the rest of you feel about it, but everybody's got a couple of sides to it, and they're having fun ripping each other apart out there. I know what the two sides are because I was involved in this. I really thought that this person that was getting so much without having to do much herself would be so happy she'd be overjoyed and thank the Lord and thank the people that had a hand in it. But nope, that's not what she said. She's on her social media right now. I'll bet you there's something out there today in social media that she's beating on the person that helped her the most. In case you don't know who that is, the person she's after is a woman called Lisa. 2 Leaves in a Pod is her channel. She spent the last year, most of her waking hours, helping that person out. She dedicated her channel to help the person that is attacking her. If that person would think about it and go back to the very first days and think about all the things that she was gifted and how happy she should have been. Not mouth the words. Because if she was truly happy, she wouldn't be doing what she's doing today. Shame on you. Shame on you, Michelle. I hope the Lord forgives you. And I'll pray that we find it in our hearts to forgive you as well. You see, I don't want to face the Lord with a hard heart. And I'm going to do the best I can to soften mine and others. I wish you had a softer heart as well. I don't think you've seen what really is going on. But you're listening to the same people that attacked you early on are now people that you were associating with and believing. Oh well. There's only so much I can say on the subject. Anybody from the outside looking in, they know what you are. Anyway, that's the end of it for today. That's my lecture. That's how I feel. That's my opinion. I think we all should give Lisa a vote of thanks. That little that little channel with a big heart stepped up when there was something needed and did everything she could and dedicated this last year to that end. And it has ended, truly. It has ended. With that, I'm going to let you go. I hope you have a good weekend. Talk to you later.